everyone. Today we got to play Fantahzee. This is a mixture of a Yahtzee and I guess dungeon crawl, horde battling.
More battling.
Horde battling.
Yeah.
So
a little bit of tableau building, I guess you can call it, because you're playing the cards in front of you.
Yeah. So a little bit of that. So, guys, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We'd love to hang out again, and that way you can see what other stuff we've been playing. So let's dig in. Tell us more about Fantahzee.
So, Fantahzee BGG rating of 6.3. Designer is Ryan Miller. Artist is J House. It's by AEG Games. MSRP is $39.99, and it plays up to 5 people.
Yeah, 5 people.
2 to 5.
So this game's is Robert's fault.
That's
why we have it in our collection.
So several Gen Cons ago, I volunteered for AEG, and this is one of the games, and I had to push this game to everyone. And so since they were my friends, I made them buy it.
Yeah, that's pretty much actually how that worked.
Yeah.
So we have some guests. Yay! So,
Can I introduce them?
Why don't you?
So we got Melissa, we got Meghan. They're both librarians, which is really cool.
I do think it's really cool.
Come to the library.
That's not where the library's at, though.
For shame.
You never know.
I'll read it, fine. Okay, so let's get back to the game. So let's talk about component quality. So the dice are
they're okay.
They're dice.
Yeah, and they're not particularly fancy or nice dice.
Well, but even the pips aren't even clear. A lot of the pips,
some of them are not painted well, and
yeah. So as far as dice quality, it's really
meh.
Yeah, and then card quality is.
The card stock is okay. It's pretty good thickness, I guess you could say.
But it's already starting to warp.
But it's very glossy. There's no texture to it at all. So there's
very hard to draw from the deck.
It's very hard to draw from the deck or pull it up off the table.
Yes.
So unless you got a cloth or felt or a polyethylene type tabletop, then it's a little bit difficult to.
So what did you say the MSRP for this was?
$39.99.
$40 for this quality just seems a bit nuts.
You get a lot of dice.
But they're crappy.
Well, they're
they
not.
Roll, Miranda.
They're not. I would say they're not. They're not crappy. They're just not. They're not crappy. They're just kind of they're standard dice. There's nothing special about them.
This is surely a dice game, and for $40, I can go buy a pack of 12. Come on now.
I'm not saying they're good dice. I'm just saying that they're not. I've seen worse dice.
Okay, I mean, yes, I've seen worse, but when really the only thing you have in this game is card and dice, and for to be that lackluster for $40
I agree. A little pricey.
It seems a bit much for me. So,
trust me, you can get this game cheaper either from your local friendly game store, which is usually sells about a discount anyway, or probably off Geek Market for like $20-25.
Okay, see, that would make me feel better. Like, I'd be like...
I was actually going to say 25 is what I would expect to pay for it in a store. So.
Yeah, that seems doable. You tell me 40, I'd be like... No.
But you don't have to buy it because you already have it. And I did get a discount.
Oh, okay, that makes me feel a little bit better then. But still, giving it a score...
components...
it's less than Catan.
It really is. It really is.
Less than Catan.
I mean... Thematically, it's a little bit better because I do like the artwork, but it really doesn't go towards this. I'd say 4.5.
Yeah, I'm right there. 4.5, maybe even a 4.
Just so our guests know, Catan, if you've not seen it, that's our standard. So that's the 5. And so
it's in the back of my car right now.
So, and I like Catan. Randy is very meh about Catan.
I like Catan,
but he would only play Catan with Cities and Knights because it does add another element to the game. But I think it's good. But it's a good kind of like that's our Rosetta Stone. That's what we define everything else to.
Mm-hmm. So what would you guys score it? Not knowing what do you guys?
I feel middle of the road about it. I mean, it was fun to play, and I do enjoy the artwork. But like you said, the dice are low quality and the cards are difficult to pick up. So, yeah.
Okay.
5-ish.
5-ish. What about you? Same feel?
I would give it a 4 out of 5
Okay.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was not too difficult to pick up. So, and I like the elements of rolling dice and playing the cards, like being able to combine your abilities and that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. So let's more into gameplay, but it's an interesting component to this of trying to mesh up Yahtzee. Something that actually intrigued me when you first described it to us was this. So let's kind of go into theme. I was really kind of surprised to find like dungeon diving almost with like Yahtzee. That's not what I when you originally showed us, I was like, well, what are they doing? This is an interesting combination.
I was kind of confused because it was explained as similar to Yahtzee, which is a game I'm familiar with and love. And then going through the directions and talking about, and I was like, wait a minute, what? Is this an RPG? What is happening?
Yeah, so it's got that feel to it.
It does, yeah.
It does.
But it's not as complex as
Well, nowhere near as complex to it. It's a very entry-level game. It's very light. But yeah, I mean, it's got it. It's Yahtzee and, baby D&D, kind of put together.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is I kind of like it in theme.
I do too. The theme is nice.
And some of the names are pretty fantastic. You had your favorite, which was?
Gorgonzola.
Yep, it was a
Gorgon.
Yeah.
Zola.
Yes.
And so, and it didn't look like a hunk of cheese. But the theme it's pretty nice because it's just high fantasy artwork. But the artwork's really nice. I mean, you got some good artwork on it. So I'm going to give it a bonus point just because I do like the art so much.
Yeah. So what is it?
I think we'll give it a 7 for theme.
That's where I feel like it. I think theme is actually pretty okay. It is light, but it's good. What do you guys think?
I think I'm on the same page as Robert there. It's probably about a 7 for me too.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
The colors are very bright.
I agree. Yeah.
It's fun to stare at.
And
get lost.
Easy to read.
Yeah.
So it's a solid theme.
Yeah. So moving on to rules.
So
how easy was it to pick up?
Okay, so there are a lot of rules to get through. So I think playing it through a round really helped me to solidify all of that. Especially, there was a lot describing how to actually play the cards. So Randy had mentioned earlier, well, you can play your 2 heroes and then your 2 actions, or a hero and an action and a hero and an action. I don't really need it to get into that. Just say in any order.
Yeah.
So it's wordy, but it's helpful, I guess, if you're new to these types of games. So
I think the rule book makes it a little bit more complicated than what it really is, because it really is a light game. The complexity of the game is the card abilities. And so if you understand what an X on a die means, or if you understand the Yahtzee rules of straights and pairs and 3 of a kind, you got the game. You just got to read, what does the card do, what dice do I need to do it, and bam, I do it. Yeah. All the stuff in the rule book really is just getting down the phases, the order you get to do things.
Yeah, and the thing is they didn't have a cheat sheet on the phases. And I think that was really missing in this.
I mean, you do have it on the back of the rule book, but again, that's something you would have to share.
But Miranda probably wants it on a card.
No,
that
absolutely.
Everybody can have.
That always gets her bonus points.
Right.
If everybody has their own cheat sheet,
for me,
that's almost a requirement anymore.
It is, because at the end of the day, I don't want to have to be able to, especially when we played this a year ago, I want to be able to have that cheat sheet and be able to play.
Because you can recall it better if you just have that to look at.
Yeah, and so for me, I feel like that's really important, especially now with games. To be, what's that refresher? I don't want to read the whole book for a refresher. I just want a little card to read for the refresher.
Not that she would read the book.
I mean, I wouldn't. No. That would be the problem, is I'd miss rules
she would have you already read.
Right.
So, I mean, I've read them.
She's done it before. It's just,
once.
I can count it on
twice.
One hand with missing fingers.
Missing fingers.
I've probably done it twice this year.
I think so.
And it was all because you weren't playing with me.
Or it's the ones you bought off of that one Kickstarter.
I did. Well, that was last year, so it doesn't count for this year.
That's true. That's true.
So with the rules.
I mean, personally, I can't give it above a 7. I mean,
really that high?
Yeah, I mean, but they worked. The rule book worked. It was functional, good art. They give examples. I mean, so it's easy to understand.
Easy to find the
answer
on the card and stuff. Yeah,
everything I needed is in the rule book. It's just, I mean, it's a 7.
I'm going to give it a 6 because I actually do remember reading this because I had to explain it to my parents once and I had to go back. And I tell you what, it's just annoying not to have that cheat sheet. Just a quick reminder. And for me, that's a really big component for me. So I'm at a 6.
I would have been an 8 if I had cheat sheets.
Yeah, so.
So that's why I gave it a 7.
I'm at a 6 for the rule book. What do you guys?
I'm gonna really throw you off and say 6.5. How's
There you
that?
Makes sense to me.
Right.
I will say 7.5 because I was like, what does this mean? And we
And
were
it was
returned to the page, and like the actual card that I was saying, what
Right.
does this mean, was on there. So
Bonus.
easy enough for me.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So gameplay, that's the part of the game. So we'll go over a quick summary. So basically, you have a lineup of how many decks? 4 or 5?
You got 5 stacks.
5 stacks.
2 level monsters. You got level 1 monsters, level 2 monsters. Mixed in with the level 2 monsters are boss monsters.
Yes. And so basically, you are trying to defend against the horde. You have a village, and so the deck that is closest to the village is very important when you go to attack, because if you do not kill that monster closest to the village, then you end up getting negative penalties.
Right. They ransack the village, and you get that village card. And for the most part, there's a few zeros, which Randy was lucky enough to get, but
what's up
most
with that?
of them are negative victory points.
Like
Yeah.
-4.
Yeah.
Like I had.
Me. I had a -4 and a -2.
Ouch, you know. So you have this setup. So, but then also with that is that you get a hand of cards, which typically is 5, but there are things that let you alter that. And then you can play 2 heroes and 2 action cards of any combination in any order.
Right.
So a max of 4 cards, but it can only be 2 heroes and 2 actions. Which I did not understand until about halfway through the game. I had forgotten that part, so it happens.
Because the
still
description
won.
in the rulebook was too lengthy and you stopped listening.
That's exactly what happened. But that worked out anyway. So you end up playing the cards, and then once you play those cards, then you try to activate them. So the action cards don't actually need any activation. They are automatic, but your heroes are. So you roll 5 dice, and this is where it becomes very similar like Yahtzee. You get 3 rolls to figure out the different things you need. Now, some of the cards give you abilities to alter that. They can give you more dice than the 5. They can let you have an extra roll, so you get 4 rolls instead of 3.
Or even change the value.
Or you either change
Or
the value.
change the number of dice that you need to activate a card.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different special abilities that I really enjoyed having a combination effect of figuring out, okay, and depending on what you draw, there's a lot of different strategies. You can go with the steam and the the robots, or you can go with the mages, or you can go with the warriors, or you can do a combination all therein.
Why I like it is it does help mitigate the luck.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't do it a lot, but it does a little bit. So it doesn't feel as brutal if you don't. I got this combination. It makes it a lot easier, and it feels good when everything goes off, like a good engine builder does. But then if nothing goes off, it kind of stinks. But
yeah,
it stinks in
I
Yahtzee
think
too
there's
if
only-
you don't get to roll what you're looking for.
I think there was only one time that one of us got nothing. That was the Randy the one time.
Right.
Everyone else we got a little bit. We got just enough, but we still ended up getting a few of the negative penalty cards because it just didn't work out quite right. And I thought that was actually a pretty good balance. Like, yeah, you were successful, but not like overly successful. So the difficulty was still there.
Well, that's why I really appreciated that there's 2 different levels of monsters, because in the beginning you can kind of, especially if you're new to the game, ease into it and just focus on getting the one next to the village so that you don't get those negative points.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's spot on. And,
And the one other thing we didn't talk about is that the monsters do attack back. So there's counterattack ability. And if you don't have shield, which allows you to mitigate the damage, if you don't have shield, you add up all the damage for counterattacks. And if that equals or exceeds any of the your heroes, they die. And then once you've defeated everything and it's the end of your turn, you flip over any card you defeated and you look at ambush. And if that equals or exceeds any of your heroes, they'll die. And so you got to think about that too, is mitigating that damage. So a lot of the attacks that we did is how do we get rid of the ambush so we don't have to worry about not having the shields and my heroes don't die.
Yeah, or you have the Sheldon being like, haha, I'm going to leave the ambush for everybody else.
Exactly.
You know,
And hope that somebody else gets rid of it before it comes back to
But
you.
that, to Marie's point, that's an important part of the strategy. Is like once you get into it, what can I do to get the most points for me, but be able to hurt everybody else?
well, but you can't directly affect people either. So I think it's, yeah, you can do a little bit of, I'm just leaving that ambush there, but it's not like I'm going after
It's
you.
not
It's
malicious
kinda like-
because you're still taking a chance
Right.
that it's going to come
It's
back.
kind of
to
like
you.
hate drafting, though.
Yeah.
When you're drafting and you're drafting cards, you know would prevent them from scoring the most points. You're taking it for yourself. You know, it's the same idea.
In a way, I kind of saw it the other way, like a team effort. We all have the same goal. So if we can get rid of the
large numbers.
you know. So I thought of it the whole time as like we're all working towards a common goal, but we also want to win.
Yeah, I mean, it does have that co-op feel because we're facing the entire horde. Right. And I know with the learning game, we often try to help each other and just kind of, okay, how do we play this? What's the best strategy for every, and so that ends up.
And this is lighthearted enough to where
it could just be fun.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, I've not played this like cutthroat wise, but you can. But I don't think I would. I mean, I think it's fun the way it is.
It is.
It's kind of lighthearted and kind of fun. Let's give it a score, guys. Let's start over here. What would you guys?
So overall gameplay score, what do you think?
Out of 10,
Yep.
I would give it an 8.
Okay.
I'm right around in there. I'd say probably 7 from me.
Okay.
I'm gonna give this a 7 too. I think it's good. I think it's fun for what it is for a light game.
Yeah.
I'm right there. I feel a 7.
I'm just a little bit lower. I'm probably a 6.5. I think it's a fun game to teach to new people, but that doesn't happen a whole lot anymore for me. So generally, I'm in a setting where I got some experience around me, and this is not something I want to bring out to the table. If I got anybody out that it's just a little too light. So
Yeah.
for my taste.
Yeah, I mean, and I totally get that, but it is a great fun mechanism because most people know Yahtzee. So bringing this to it also helps for me get people's mind. Oh, it's very similar to Yahtzee, and then they're not intimidated.
I agree with that.
I find a lot of people.
There's other games that I like better that have that same kind of mechanic. I'd bring out Space Base in a heartbeat.
But that has nothing to do with Yahtzee.
But it's still got the dice. You're still rolling it. You're still doing different combinations of dice. It's much better.
I will say this. It's better to bring this out for a first timer than Terraforming Mars, you guys.
I could see that.
You're not wrong.
Which is what they did to me.
It's because we love you.
But then I won anyway.
Exactly.
You got to preface it that you're also playing with a couple people that are really good at Terraforming Mars.
She won.
I know. I'm just saying it's intimidating. So.
Yeah, we had a blast, guys. I hope you guys did too.
I had a good time.
So we'll see you guys later. Bye.